Lieutenant, when we broke off, I was asking about kind of the makeup of y'all's team. How many robbery detectives were there at that time?
We had about 25 in the unit into two sections.
And would one detective be kind of designated as a lead on a case, but the rest of y'all might help wherever it's needed?
Yes.
There was a case against the Kristopher Law. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And were you the lead detective on that?
No.
Who was the lead detective at that time?
Walter Davidson.
And did you and Detective Davidson kind of work together on other cases as well?
Yes.
And he is the lead detective. When you all were able to determine how this case happened and solve it, were you involved in the taking of a statement of Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mr. Approach.
You may.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 349. Is this a copy of the statement that you took from Mr. Love?
Yes.
I'm going to leave you another copy of it up here. This time we'll offer State's Exhibit 349. Will do. When you take a statement from an individual, do you all go through their rights?
Yes.
And tell us what that entails.
We advise them of their rights. We have them verbally read it so that we know that they can read and understand what they're reading. We'll have them sign an initial that they understand their rights, whether they want to talk to us, and they yes or no, and they initial off onto that as well.
Mr. Publisher?
You may.
I'm going to show you up here, State's Exhibit number 349, and you have a copy of it there as well, is that right?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, this is in regards to the conviction for aggravated robbery that occurred, the actual conviction occurred in September of 2005, is that right? Do you know?
Yes, I guess.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
There's a date right down there.
Yeah, yes, September 23rd.
All right. But you took this statement back on July 15th of 2004.
Yes.
And as you discussed, the individual is told of their rights to remain silent. They don't have to talk to you if they don't want to.
That's correct.
And then at the bottom, have you signed that? Is one of these signatures yours?
Yes.
Is it the second one down here?
Yes.
Okay, and who's that signature right there?
Walter Davidson.
All right. And then up here, is that Mr. Love's statement?
Yes.
Do you recognize Mr. Love?
Yeah, he's sitting right there.
Can you describe an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He's got on a purple tie and I guess a blue suit, maybe, navy blue.
At the end of the row down?
Yes.
All right, let the record reflect the witnesses identify the defendant of the court. This first part of the statement up here, is this basically just getting background, biographical information of Mr. Love?
Yes.
And it's saying where you all are taking the statement and at what time. It looks like it's on, well, it's talking about the robbery that occurred on July 2nd at 8:32 a.m.
Yes.
You're there again informing him that he's under arrest for that aggravated robbery and that you're going to ask him some questions.
Yes.
Now, did you wind up typing this up?
Yes. We type it as we talk.
All right. So there again, you're making sure that they understand their rights and what they're get into. Did you participate? And his answer was to
Yes.
that. And then you asked him if anybody else participated, and what was his answer to that?
Yes.
Okay, and he gave you a name of Robert Townsend.
Correct.
Now, there was two other people together with Mr. Love who were arrested for, charged, and convicted of these offenses. Is that right?
Yes.
You asked him to describe Robert Townsend, which he does. You asked if he was armed. He said no. He said, was anybody else? And his answer to that was?
That he never saw a weapon, but believed one was used.
Okay. And asked what was taken in the robbery. And you mentioned a black bag.
Yes.
You thought it was a purse. And you know the victim in this is Tracy Dent. Is that right?
Yes.
He said he was in, so did he receive anything from robbery? He said he was going to get something, but he doesn't admit to getting anything for robbery.
He doesn't admit to get anything for it.
Then he asked what kind of car, and what does he answer to that?
It was a mint green Toyota Highlander,
And where does he get that from?
stolen.
Then you asked him to describe how this happened. Can you just read his answer to that, please?
Yeah, so after we asked him to describe it, he says, I woke up to Robert, his nickname Chucky, knocking on my window. He said, come on, carry me to get some money. I said, where's the money at? He said it was right up the street. So I said, how are we going to get there? Then I said, I got a steamer if you want to take that, and was like, all right, that's cool. So we drove up there to Mendenhall and Knight Arnold. So I said, what are we going to do at 8 something in the morning? He said, park right there, and somebody's supposed to bring me the money. So we waited for about 10 minutes at the most, and Robert said, come on, let's go. I started driving. He said, stop right here on the same parking lot that we parked on. He jumped out. It was not even 10 seconds. He jumped back in the truck with 2 bags and said, let's go. He was telling me, go, go. Asked him what was going on. He said, don't worry about it. And then he said he robbed a lady. Then I told him to take me home and he could keep the truck and he could talk to me later on. I seen him Monday, the day after the 4th of July, and it was getting dark. I said, what's up? And he took off running for me like I had did something to him and left the truck and the keys. So I went back and got the truck and parked it across the street in some apartments. The apartments are right across the street from Mendenhall. Then I got me a car that Tuesday or Wednesday, and it was a 78 Nova. I took the speakers out of the Toyota and put them in my car.
Okay, and then you asked him if he was supposed to get anything. He said he was supposed to get, he was going to give him something. Is that right?
Yes.
He had used a term in there that he had a steamer. You asked, what do you mean by that? And what was his answer?
It's a stolen car.
And then you asked him, why does he participate in the robbery? He said, I didn't know it was a robbery.
Yes.
But later on, he pleads guilty to it as a robbery. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you ask him if there's anything else that he wants to say, and he says there isn't anything else he wants to say, that he wasn't coerced. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, all the other individuals that were arrested gave statements as well. Is that right?
Yes.
And were you all able to learn that they had gotten some information from inside the Family Dollar as to how the drops were made?
But that's going to be a hearsay.
Sustained.
I'll pass a witness.
Detective, without going into the nature of what anyone told you, I mean, you would agree that's all would all be hearsay to you, correct?
We have,
What anybody else told, any details about what someone else may have told you or not, your involvement in this case was to take this statement, correct?
yes.
And you took the statement and, I mean, clearly you read the defendant his rights and he told you he understood them. In fact, initialed that, not just that one page that you showed, but there was also a separate page that you explained to him and had him initial his rights on that page also, wasn't there?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no question the defendant understood his rights and he understood that he had an opportunity to speak with you if he wished to do so, but he was under no legal obligation to do so. Is that right?
Correct.
And he sat there and spoke to you and appears to be pretty forthcoming in his description of what had occurred. Is that right?
Yes.
And in fact, he told you that he had stolen the car that was used.
Yes.
I mean, that was just a outright admission that you didn't ask him about that or anything, did you?
I guess I don't really recall if we asked him or not, but it's in his statement that he stole the car.
Well, I mean, you asked him where did you get it. He said, I
Yes.
stole it. He didn't come off saying I borrowed it or it was my
Yes.
Phillies or anything like that.
Yes.
I mean, so he come forward and provided you with the full explanation of what had taken place, and it coincided with the details without going into specifics of what you had from other sources. Is that correct?
No.
All right. Very good, officer. We'll leave it there. Thanks, sir.
Well, when you did speak to some of these other witnesses, they were, these other defendants, they were giving you statements of their involvement in this offense, is that right?
Yes,
And it was against their interest to tell you that they were involved in criminal history, in a criminal activity, is that right?
yes,
And they gave you a little bit more details than what Mr. Love gave you.
yes,
In fact, some of them, when they talked to you, they said this person had a little more involvement than the other person had. Is that right?
correct,
And, but they would downplay their own involvement to a certain extent.
yes,
In fact, there's others who say that Mr. Love knew exactly what was going to happen.
yes,
And that they, in fact, one of these individuals, their wife worked at that Dollar General store.
And again, Judge, now we're back into hearsay.
Well, Judge, he asked if he was asking truthful, and these are all statements against their personal interests.
All right, hold on.
Judge, excuse me, Judge, he's not on trial for this offense. This offense, this is being shown as a circumstance. He's not the lead detective. He didn't take part in those interviews, and he's not properly allowed to come forward and tell what other people said in the case that all he did was take a statement.
Okay, we'll ask the next question.
In fact, you learned through the investigation of this offense.
Okay, again, Judge, I'm going to object to anything that he learned. It's hearsay.
Sustained.
Did people tell you against their own interest?
Again, Your Honor, he's not on trial for this offense.
Sustained.
I'll pass it.
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir. You may stand down. Please call your next witness.
Your Honor, we'll call Brent Hill.
Good morning, sir. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this cause will be the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Proceed, Your Honor. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Brent Hill.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm a special agent with the West Tennessee Drug Task Force in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, and what kind of umbrella do you work under currently?
We are a multi-county task force. My primary focus is criminal interdiction on Interstate 40.
And do you actually work for the Office of the Attorney General, is that right?
I do, Shelby County Attorney General.
And what does that all encompass? Is that multiple DA's offices?
It is multiple jurisdictions, judicial districts. I believe there's 7 total that have all come together and formed a task force, but I am a full-time employee of the Shelby County Attorney General.
Okay, and you said specifically you're working on narcotics interdiction?
Criminal interdiction, yes.
Okay, and how long have you been in law enforcement?
Approximately 12 years now.
Walk us through a little bit of your history. Where did you start as a police officer?
I started out as a police officer in Lauderdale County.
Sorry.
Is that me or you?
It's,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You started in Lauderdale County, you said?
Yes.
And that's also in Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where'd you go after Lauderdale County?
To Dyer County, working for the Dyersburg City Police Department.
All right, and how long were you in Dyersburg?
Approximately 4 years.
And after you left Dyersburg, is that when you went to your current assignment?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury a little bit about your background, your training, kind of what qualifies you to be a law enforcement officer.
Went through the basic police academy through the state of Tennessee, through the state academy there. Throughout the course of my law enforcement career, I've attended several different training classes, different locations, different areas, different fields. I'm also a canine handler, which I've been a canine handler since 2010 through Dyersburg and also through the West Tennessee Drug Task Force.
So you're currently a canine handler as well as when you were with Dyersburg?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the jury got to meet Titan last week, who was an ATF canine officer that detected explosive material. Your dog is trained to detect something different, is that correct?
Yes, sir, the odor of narcotics.
Okay, and at the time you were with Dyersburg, what was the name of your canine?
Pyro.
Okay, and you no longer have Pyro, is that correct?
Correct, I do not.
Okay, we don't have Pyro here. Like I said, they got to meet Titan, but what kind of dog was Pyro?
Pyro was a narcotics detector dog, which is a German Shepherd by breed, but he was trained solely on narcotics.
And was there any special training that you had to do before you even got to work with Pyro?
Yes, sir. The initial dog training for narcotics detection is 10 weeks. And then with the final 2 weeks of the handler going and operating and working with the dog, learning how to operate with the dog, leash control, praising, different training tactics for operation of the canine, I guess you could say, essentially.
Okay, so you and Pyro had your own separate training, and then you had additional training when you were paired together as a unit.
Yes, sir, and then we also continued training throughout the year.
Is there any sort of certification process that Pyro and yourself need to go through to qualify him as a narcotics expert?
Yes, sir, we were both certified through the NNDDA, which is the National Narcotics Drug Detector Dog Association.
Okay, and is there any ongoing certification requirements?
It's a yearly thing. It has an expiration date on it.
Okay, and Pyro was in fact certified, passed all of his tests, all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take you back.
I was, enough accordingly. They would always let the canines kind of roam, what they called roam free, where you covered the entire city instead of working a particular. Major there, the major city closest to us would be Memphis and then Jackson, and we're kind of in the middle of that.
Okay, and you said you were working Highway 51 that day. Is that a popular thoroughfare?
That's the heartbeat of town right there. It goes from Memphis all the way into another town, which is called Union City, which leads into other states, Kentucky and so on and so forth. Big road that everybody takes to go to the lake. We do have Reelfoot Lake relatively close in the area.
Okay, and is it I-40 is the major highway that runs through Tennessee?
It is.
Okay, and that's cross country, right? I mean, coast to coast?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now is there a reason specifically why you would set up on Highway 51 just in general?
Through my training and experience, I feel like I'm yelling. Through my training and experience, I've been able to apprehend major criminals, mid-level to major criminals on Highway 51 that avoid Interstate 40 and other heavily trafficked roads. They'll come down through there. For the small towns, usually get not as much law enforcement as the city of Dyersburg's not going to have the amount of officers as the city of Memphis is going to have because we're a smaller entity.
Okay, so as part of a K-9 unit, you tend to try to put yourself where you believe you would likely interdict trafficking of narcotics.
Yes, sir, criminals, major criminals, not just narcotics.
Okay. You're on that, approach the witness.
Agent Hill, I'm going to show you what's been already marked as States Exhibits 316 through 328. You thumb through those and tell us if you recognize those pictures.
I do, yes.
Okay, now are these the photos that you took the day of the offense that we're about to get into on March 19th?
Yes, sir.
2013? Your Honor, we'd offer States Exhibits 316 through 328.
No good.
Admitted?
May I publish, Your Honor?
You may.
All right, Agent Hill, let's go ahead and talk about that date, March 19th on Highway 51. About 4 o'clock, did you pull over a white Ford Mustang for a traffic offense.
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and you recall why you pulled that white Mustang over?
It was the improper display of registration.
Okay, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 316. When you're saying improper display of registration, can you explain that to the jury what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. In the Tennessee Code Annotated, which is our traffic laws, Traffic Law 55-4110 says no license plate can be obstructed by any foreign material, and it specifically says no tinted cover of any form or type. If you look in the photo,
Yeah, that's
This-
to your left there. You can touch that, and you can circle what you're...
it's okay to do so.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll just do it this way. If you look here, the cover has a bluish tint to it. Our license plates are white and green.
Okay, we'll get a better look at it here in State's Exhibit 317.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and again, that is a traffic offense in the state of Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now after you pulled that vehicle over, let me ask you this, do you recall who was driving that vehicle at the time of your stop?
Mr. Kristopher Love.
Okay, now do you see the person who you just identified as Kristopher Love sitting in this courtroom today?
I do, sir.
Can you go ahead and identify him by article of clothing that he's wearing?
A gentleman in a suit, purple tie, blue shirt, that appears from here.
All right, Your Honor, may the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant in open court.
Record will be-
And what did you first do when you approached the vehicle and approached Mr. Love?
Initially called in my location and vehicle information to dispatch, exited my patrol vehicle, walked to the rear, and then approached the vehicle from the passenger side. Knocked on the window. The window didn't roll down, so the front seat passenger opened that door and explained that the window wasn't working properly.
Okay, did you speak with, do you recall the passenger or the driver of that vehicle first?
Initially, I spoke with the passenger. She was the closest one to me.
Okay, at some point, did you speak with Mr. Love?
I did. I identified who I was and asked the driver for his driver's license.
Okay, did you, are you conducting your investigation of this traffic offense? Are you asking them to step out of the vehicle, or do you let them both?
I do ask him to step out of the vehicle. He presents me with an identification card instead of an actual driver's license. I like to show people the offense. The goal and objective is to get people to correct their behavior or the offense. So I like to physically show them, so I asked him to exit the vehicle so I could show him the improper displayed registration.
Okay, so you explained to him why you pulled him over.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me ask you just, why do you ask them to step out of the vehicle when you pulled them over?
Well, in the field that I'm in, we separate both parties. That way, during the course of our roadside interview, if we deem necessary, we get conflicting stories, or we'll get the same story. It just confirms or denies suspicion of criminal activity being present.
All right, what did you initially intend to do based on the traffic violation of just improper display of registration?
The recommendation for the city of Dyersburg at that time was our preferred response, is what they called it, was a warning.
Okay, so they actually preferred that you didn't even give them a citation, just give them a warning and send them on their way?
Right, so they can correct their behavior.
All right, and you said when you asked Mr. Love for identification, he handed you an ID as opposed to a driver's license.
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you ask him about that?
I did once he was outside of the vehicle.
And what was his response?
He explained that his license were suspended.
Okay, and now you were, I guess, coordinating with dispatch while you're talking to Mr. Love. Did you confirm through dispatch that his license was or was not suspended?
It was confirmed through dispatch that his license were suspended, and he had actually been arrested 5 previous times prior to my stop.
Okay, for driving with a suspended license?
Right, which would have been, in our state, driving on suspended 6th offense.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Is driving with a suspended license in the state of Tennessee, is that in and of itself a misdemeanor offense?
Yes, sir,
So
absolutely.
you said he had been 5 times convicted of this offense. Does that elevate that offense from a misdemeanor?
No, sir.
It does not?
It not at this time. It depends on, I can't do that. The district attorney general can move for what's considered a habitual vehicle offender, and they can do that, but my charge can initiate that. So it can possibly.
But you thought it important enough to notate in your report when you found out about this driving with a suspended license?
Yes, sir. The driver's license was suspended due to the fact of failure to satisfy a citation.
Your Honor.
Suspect.
All right. let's move on. At this point, when you confirmed through dispatch that in fact his license was suspended, what did you do?
Mr. Love was taken into custody.
All right, and after that, did you, you said you did speak with the passenger?
Yes.
You recall the name of the passenger of that vehicle?
Miss Felix, I believe it was.
Okay, Cassandra Felix, does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Did you, I guess, check with dispatch to find out who this car was registered to?
Yes, sir.
And who was the car registered to?
Registered to Miss Felix.
It was Miss Felix's vehicle. Now, tell us about your conversation with Miss Felix.
Objected hearsay, huh?
Sustained.
Well, Your Honor, I think we're about to elicit statements against Miss Felix's interest.
Could approach.
Agent Hill, without getting into any specifics of your conversation with Miss Felix, did you notice anything when you approached Miss Felix's passenger window to speak with her?
I can smell the faint odor of marijuana coming from the car.
Okay, and now you had pyro with you at this time, is that correct?
I did.
Okay, what did you do in response to your detection of the odor of marijuana?
I requested her to exit the vehicle. She stood with Officer McLemore, which was my assisting officer at the time. We contacted Officer Cantu to come to the scene to do a pat down on her, female to female, and then I deployed pyro on the vehicle.
Let me ask you this. You, I'm sure, are aware as an officer that you had probable cause to search the vehicle. Why did you go ahead and deploy pyro at that time anyway?
The dog's a tool. You know, it's equipment that we like to utilize. It's good for handler and dog companionship and things of that nature, but it's basically just a tool, just like a radar gun would be a radar gun. I can go out and observe people who are driving faster than 30 miles an hour and pull them over. I can use my radar gun to do it.
You have the tool, why not use it?
Absolutely.
Okay, now when you let pyro kind of do his thing, walk us through, I guess, a little bit of how you would conduct a vehicle search with pyro.
You would take pyro out of the car, you would walk up to the car just a little bit ahead of the car, starting at the front bumper, give him the command to find it, and then he would run, do what's considered a sweep of the vehicle. You'd start from the driver's side front headlight and work your way around the vehicle, continuously moving. Pyro's response to the odor of narcotics was he would display a change in behavior. He would start breathing heavily, salivating, and then go into a full set and stare at the source of the odor. And that's what he did. He displayed that behavior twice on this vehicle with the driver's side door. He was pulled off of that and moved along, and then when he got back to the driver's side door, he did that again.
Okay, did you then conduct a more thorough search of the vehicle there?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and do you recall, did you find anything, any evidence of potential narcotics or narcotic remnants?
We did find like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag in the trunk area that had what appeared to be marijuana residue.
Okay, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 325 here. Is that the gallon-sized Ziploc bag you're speaking of?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you said just marijuana residue in that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's show a closer up in State's 326. Those little bits in there, is that what you're referring to with the residue?
It is, yes.
Okay, and ultimately, no one was charged with possession of marijuana, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, did you notice anything else? Did you search anywhere else in addition to the trunk?
Yes, sir. When searching the interior area of the car, I noticed that there appeared to be an alteration to the front passenger side carpet and the floorboard.
Okay. And I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 319. What are you speaking of when you talk about an alteration to the passenger floorboard?
Hey, can this photograph be zoomed in or no?
Absolutely.
If you see the particular tan dot right where the dash meets the center console.
And again, you can use your screen here to be helpful
Okay.
to circle that for the jury.
That's a grommet, is the title, I guess the name for it rather. But anyhow, all it is a pressure clipping, pressure fitting rather. It's one of those things that once you stick in, it's like a one-way tab. It's got kind of like splinters that come off of it, so pushing in it goes smooth, but pulling out would be rough. That was on the inside of the carpet. There's a hole in the carpet. What you're viewing is you're actually seeing the grommet through the hole of the carpet. So that told me that carpet had been removed away from that grommet.
Okay, now Agent Hill, I'm going to go out on a limb and say possibly most officers might not have noticed that. Do you know a little bit more about cars than maybe most officers?
I did at that particular time, yes, sir.
Do you actually have a background in fixing cars, working on cars?
Limited background, but I've searched 1,000. So I've become more familiar with it through that aspect.
You used to own a tire shop, is that right?
I currently still do.
Okay, so you know your cars and this stood out to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, what did you do when you noticed this grommet?
So we start in further searching the vehicle, and to search that further, you would actually go up into where the air conditioner duct would go. You know the thing you hit your feet on when you sit in the passenger seat if you're a tall guy?
Sure.
That from there. The carpet would actually go up underneath there, and then you could pull it back to search that area. And that's how I did, yes.
Okay, did you notice anything when you pulled that back to search that area?
I did. I located a handgun underneath the carpet right there by the air duct.
Do you recall, was there anything holding that carpet together with the floorboard there?
Yes, sir. The carpet and the underlay was held to the actual car by Velcro, which is not, I mean, it's not a factory standard piece.
Is that what we're looking at here, State's Exhibit 323?
Yes, sir, right here. That's 2 strips of Velcro there.
Okay, are we looking then at the carpet peeled back from that area?
That is the carpet, yes.
And you said that is not factory standard?
No, sir.
Okay. And you said when you pulled that back, notice the Velcro, that's when you found a handgun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you, and here's a kind of a wider angle, tell us what we're looking at here, if you would.
So the black part of the vehicle is going to be factory sound dampener. It kind of separates the sound from the road. If you'll notice, that's kind of right over the top of the transmission hump, where the transmission hump meets with the drive shaft of the vehicle.
Is that the foil-like substance we're looking at there?
No, sir, you're actually looking at the black part. That's actually stuck that's not the floor. That's a sound deadener that's placed in between the floor and the carpet. It's a sound barrier for the motor. This is a Dynamat, the chrome tinfoil looking thing is actually Dynamat, which is not in its proper place. They are throughout the vehicle, but that's generally going to be around where the humps of the seats go for more of a sound deadener between the bolt and the frame of the seat of the car.
So did it appear that this Dynamat was custom made, put in the way it was here?
Placed there, yes, sir.
Okay, and can you show us, are we looking at that same Velcro that we saw back in State's Exhibit 323?
Yes, it appears that they have Velcro there on the underlay as well.
Okay, can you go ahead and point that out for us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you saw the handle of what appeared to be a handgun, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Just to get a closer up view of that, I'll show you State's Exhibit 321. Is that same pistol there?
Yes, sir. And in this photograph, you can see this is sticky on both sides. So it's not made to like move. You can't take this black portion out and put it in your car. It's made specifically for this car. It's like a one-time use only. So this has actually been pried up from this car floor and kind of made kind of a holster form around. So the gun is actually going inside here. This is the end part of the handle there.
You said they basically created like a holster for it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, what did you do upon finding that pistol, sir?
The passenger was placed under arrest as well.
Okay, did you take a photograph of Miss Felix, the passenger?
I did.
Okay, is that what we're looking at here in State's Exhibit 328?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you also, did you collect that pistol that you found there?
I did, yes, sir.
And I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 322. Is that the same pistol that you collected out there?
It is.
Took a photograph of it?
Yes, sir, a Taurus 45.
What'd
I'm
you
sorry,
say?
a what?
A Taurus 45.
45 caliber?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what we're looking at in State's Exhibit 322, it appears there is no magazine in that pistol, certainly not one in the chamber. Is that how you found it?
No, sir, we're required to do so. It's considered making the gun safe.
Okay, was there a magazine in that pistol, and was that pistol loaded?
There was a magazine in the pistol. The magazine was loaded. I cannot recall if there was one in the chamber or not.
Okay, do you recall what type of ammunition was in that pistol?
Yes, sir, it was 6 hollow points and 4 full metal jackets.
Okay, now as a law enforcement officer, what types of rounds do you use in your pistols?
We carry hollow points.
And what is a hollow point?
A hollow point bullet would be a bullet, the head of the bullet, the actual copper or silver part that penetrates the whatever you're shooting. A hollow point will actually flare out as to where a full metal jacket will stay solid.
What's the purpose of that?
And it causes more damage.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 327. Did you take a photograph of Mr. Love on arrest that day?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, you filed the offense of a firearm, a felon in possession of a firearm. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Agent Hill, do you recall the status of that felon in possession of a firearm case as of today?
Mr. Love's got an active warrant for his arrest through Dyer County Sheriff's Department failure to appear.
Okay, that case is still pending, and he currently has an active warrant because he did not appear.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Agent Hill. That's all I have for you.
Thank you.
In fact, Agent Hill, what you described is, I mean, you were involved in interdiction, you weren't involved in traffic enforcement, were you?
We do interdiction through traffic enforcement. We did not have a traffic division solely, if that's what you're asking, sir.
But on this particular occasion, you came in contact with Mr. Love. He was extremely cooperative with you, was he not?
Yes, sir.
He answered all your questions?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, you asked him if he had been convicted of a crime while you were out there talking to him about his license plate, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, he told you, he volunteered to you that he had been convicted of an aggravated robbery charge.
Yes, sir.
So you had all that information. I mean, that was just through casual conversation with the person you were talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And you described what you did, that you went through and searched the truck. And how'd you get into the trunk?
I believe we use the key or the popper. It's common practice with it.
Okay. You said that your dog had alerted you to the odor of narcotic on the driver's side door of the vehicle. Did you discover any narcotics anywhere by the driver's side door of the vehicle?
Not that of any interest to me, no, sir. Not that I can recall.
Well, I mean, the answer is no.
Yes, sir. Not that I can recall.
So why would your dog have hit there?
Well, the dog doesn't alert on amounts. The dog alerts on odors. So there's a lot of contributing factors to that come into play. I'd be glad to explain if you'd allow.
Well, I mean, I think you're saying that that's where he detected the odor the most?
That's where the odor came through, yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that you located a empty baggie in the trunk of the vehicle that had no usable quantity of marijuana in it. Is that right?
It was residual.
I believe that's all the questions I have for you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agent Hill, the information that you obtained regarding the defendant's criminal history came not just from the defendant in part, but certainly your check with dispatch as well, is that right?
Yes, sir, it was confirmed.
Okay, and that warrant that remains active today, was that warrant active back on September 2nd of 2015?
Yes, sir, it would have been.
Thank you, sir. I'll pass it to Mr. Chairman.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. You may stay down. You're free to leave the court.
Thank you.
We approach you.
You may. All right, members of the jury, we'll go ahead and take our morning recess. It's almost 1:15, so we'll be back in the jury room at 10:30.
All rise.